Data persistence. Data persistence in the sense saving the information between application launches. If you see uh, contact application, even assume that there are 10 contacts, you kill the application, you switch off the phone and you switch it on. If you see, the data is still persisting. The data still you can see. Even in WhatsApp, even if you kill the application from the background, and when you launch the application, again you see the older messages, how those are saved. Those are saved in some persistent storage. There are variety of persistent storages based upon our requirement, based upon our behavior required. We choose the particular persistent storage. Data persistence is process of saving the application data between application launches. Application launches means either killing the application and relaunching or initially launching it. Like between application, multiple application launches, you can say. Data in iOS application can be saved in different ways. One is variable. No retention of data once after application terminates. Whatever we have used so far are variables. We have taken arrays, collection, dictionaries, and many things. Those are once you kill the application, once you stop the simulator, the data which were there, which were stored and variables are cleared. NS user defaults. User defaults we have seen. For storing some chunk of information, we use NS user defaults. This is application specific. Application specific means once you delete the application, the data is gone. It is a kind of dictionary which we have used for storing some small information. We have used for storing name and password, username and password, while dealing with the login application. Property list. Property list is a file where it can store collection objects. Can be either dictionary or set or array. Basically, array or dictionary. So we can say property list. Property list is simply a file where it. I'll also show you how exactly it looks like. SQLite or SQLite. SQLite is a database. You can say lightweight database. But nowadays people are not all using this SQLite. In Objective-C, we used to use SQLite, but nowadays everybody is using Coredata. Coredata is a framework where you can persist the data. It is not a database. Technically, it is not a database. Few people ask, what is Coredata? Coredata is not a database. It is a framework, persistent framework, which is given by the iOS native system. Keychain access or keychains. Keychain, you can say keychain only. Keychain is kind of NS user default, kind of dictionary only, but it is a device specific. Even if you delete the application from the device, you can still see this data. Whereas in user defaults, the information saved in user default dictionary is not available after you delete the application. And the information saved in the user defaults is not encrypted. This is encrypted data can be saved in keychain access. For username and password, you can use the user defaults. For credit card information, CVV, credit card PIN, those things you can use. Sensitive information can be saved in keychain access because the information which is saved in the keychain access is encrypted. Whereas the other forms are not encrypted. Realm is kind of core data. It is wrapper around the core data, but it is third-party library. SQL Cipher is again third-party library, where this is, we can say, encrypted database. Encrypted database. Here in keychain access, device specific plus encrypted. Okay, these are the various persistent storages. These are various storages we are having. Variable, whatever we have used so far, all the properties are variables. Once you kill the application, that is gone. User defaults is for storing the small amount of information in the form of a dictionary. Property list is a file where you can store the information in the form of array and dictionary, but people are not using this as well. SQLite is a older database. We can say it was a lightweight database or mobile friendly database. Coredata is one framework which is given by the iOS native system. This is the most popular one which people are using these days. Keychain access or keychain is encrypted small database for storing the sensitive information. And Realm is third-party library which is wrapper around the core data. SQL Server is the encrypted core data, encrypted database, we can say encrypted database. And in interviews, they will ask you what is the difference between user defaults and keychain access. User defaults is application specific. Once the application is deleted, the information is gone, and the information saved in the user defaults is not encrypted. Keychain access is device specific. Even if you delete the application from the device, the information saved on keychains from that application is still persisted, and the data which is saved in keychain access is encrypted. Okay, for storing the sensitive information, kind of credit card or banking information, you can use the keychain access. Core data is a persistent store used to save the application data between application launches. It is usually a framework that lets developer to store or retrieve data in the database in an object-oriented fashion. SQL is actually SQLite is basically completely C-based API. But even Coredata internally uses the SQLite only. But it is wrapper around the SQLite where you can interact with Coredata in object-oriented fashion. We used to write raw SQL statements, select star from so-and-so table. When we were using SQLite, we used to write a raw SQLite statement, select star from table where so-and-so equal to so-and-so. These queries we used to write. Whereas in Coredata, those queries are not required because it is an object-oriented fashion. We'll see how exactly it is. With Coredata, you can easily map the objects in your application to the table records in the database without even knowing any SQL. Okay, here you can turn off your cameras. Here with Coredata, you can easily map the objects. Basically, without knowing, here we do not need to know any SQL here, any SQL statements, tables, indexes. You don't need to understand. You don't need to worry about the SQL commands. Without knowing them also, we can do. Coredata by default uses a SQLite database for storing information internally. Coredata uses SQLite. Coredata is not a database like Oracle SQL. Coredata is not a database, it is a framework. These are the features. Coredata is an object-oriented, object-based, like now we can say object-oriented way of wrapper around the SQLite. It is faster, proper memory management, improves responsive time. These are the various data types which supports by the Coredata table. This is the architecture, very, very important. You will definitely face this question. What is the Coredata stack? Coredata stack contains 5 different components. Coredata stack contains 5 different components. We see each and everything. While creating the application itself, we need to select use Coredata. Here, this is what we need to select so that the Coredata framework is included in the application. We see these things practically. What we do in the database, we can save record, we can fetch record, we can update record, we can delete record. These operations we perform. Steps to save the information, we see that practically saving some student information, fetching students, how exactly it is done. Using predicate. Predicate is kind of a condition over a statement. Condition. Fetching something, fetch users gives you everything. Fetch user where username starts with ABC. Kind of condition to put the condition. We use that. Deleting and updating, we see deleting objects, updating object. Coredata relationships. Coredata relationships are very, very important. We see them as well. Fetch results view controller. Delete rules again. This is very, very important. 100% question again. Core data migration. How to migrate the core data? Multiple context. So yeah, we see everything in practical. This is the core data stack. There are 5 different components in the core data stack. Definitely question. Okay. Core data is a framework where internally it uses SQLite. Okay. This is the data persistent store. These are the 5 different components. One is persistent store. Store means database, we can say, where the information is actually saved. Persistent store. Okay, persistent store is one component where it contains database. And managed object context. Managed object context. Before that, managed object. Managed object is this is managed object. One record, we can say, one set of information for the one record, one car. This is managed object. This is managed object. This is there are 3 different managed objects. Okay. Here, data means one record. If you see Excel sheet, how do you represent the information? In the form of columns only, right? In the form of rows only. Multiple rows, and each contains different fields. Name, serial number, name, phone number, email, address, etc. Same thing here. To save the information of the car, serial number, car name, like a brand, model, making year of make, and price, color, etc. One record is known as managed object. Managed object is one record of particular table. Here the tables are known as entities. Columns are known as attributes. Rows are known as entities. Columns are known as attributes. Okay. One record, one row is one managed object. Persistent managed object context. Context is a place where we perform all the database operations. If you want to create it, if you want to update it, delete it, do anything. Whatever operations you are performing, should be done on the managed object context. Persistent store, where exactly the information is stored. Persistent store coordinator. Coordinator means mediator between the managed object context and persistent store. And managed object model. Model means structure. Structure means how many tables you need in each table. What are the different attributes? How many columns you need for each record. This is managed object model. Model means some structure. Structure of your database. Based on the model, the database is created according to that. You have to structure it first of all. How many number of entities you need? In each entity, how many number of columns you need? Okay. This is database. 5 different components. First thing is managed object. This is managed object. One record, we can say. Managed object context is a place where exactly you perform all the database operations. Persistent store is the where exactly the information is actually saved. Persistent store coordinator is the mediator between the persistent store and managed object context. And managed object model is the structure of your database. Structure of your database. How many number of tables you need and what each table contains. How many number of columns and what are the column names. These things contains. Okay, this you need to explain to the. You can write it in this way, but if you see Coredata stack will be anyways different. Coredata stack. See if these images are meaningful. Data model. This I don't think I felt this is not very simple to understand. That is why I have created my own structure here, so that you can understand what exactly it is. Take one object, use the context. If you want to save it by using persistent coordinator through persistent store. The persistent store uses the managed object models to create the database structure and save the information as when context saves. Context, whenever context wants to save or perform any operation, it tells to the persistent store coordinator. From the persistent store coordinator tells to the persistent store to store the information or update the delete, fetch anything. Okay, let's do it practically. Let us save few entities, etc. Persistence, wherever you are using persistence, use the core data. You need to use this. Use core data. If you see, the additional thing which we got is this persistence. Okay, here there are no entities, means there are no tables, there are no attributes. And see what exactly you got here. The other extra stuff which you got from the regular way of creation is save context is the one thing, and persistent container is another thing. These are the two extra things which we can see here. From the regular application creation, as and when you select the check mark the core data, you can see these things are added by default. Okay, this is persistent container. Persistent container actually using persistent this structure. Persistent container, persistent store. Actually, persistent store is using this model to create the database internally. Persistence. This is persistence, right? This is the model actually managed. This is the managed object model. This is the managed object model. What is the model here? Structure, right? How many number of tables you need? How many number of rows you need, etc. Let me create my own first table. Create entity. Here the entity name is. Let me take student only. Here one is ID. Let's say name. First thing is name. After these are the various types the database or the Coredata supports. Name is string. Age is integer. Number integer 16, 32, anything. Address is again string. Okay. This is the table. You can see this in two different ways. One is in the table format, another one is this way. What is this? Table graph. Okay, which contains attributes. Attributes means columns. Okay, it contains three different columns. This is managed object model. Okay. Now, what I do is I instead of keeping everything in app delegator, I will create my own core data manager. Let me create that command and Swift class core data manager. I'm going to take it as a class because I'm going to use it. The core data manager should be available in the all the view controllers. Wherever I want to use the save the information or pull the information, I need to access the core data, the database. So I'm making this as a singleton. Core data manager. Let static, let shared manager equal to core data manager. Private unit, nothing. Okay, this is my core data manager. Let me take the two things from here, from the app delegate. Take these two things, cut and paste in the core data manager. And here, see what is. Let me remove the comments. You can read these comments and understand what exactly it is telling. Yeah, build it. See what is the error. Here, persistent container we got, and preparing the context here. We need to import core data. There it is, core data is imported. import the Coredata framework. And see what other errors. Lazy property. We need to create. What is this? Saving support. Perfect. Where it is here in the scene delegate, we need to save it. This is how it is accessed. See, when Coredata manager dot shared manager dot save context. What is the method which was there? Tab delegate save context. Now the save context method is there in the Coredata manager command B. Lazy persistent container, and we need the context outside. Wherever I want, I can access that. So what I do is lazy let context equal to, and just bringing this line outside, because I want to access this from multiple places. Since this is lazy, I'm making this also as lazy. That's it. Command B. What is that? There. Command B. Everything is perfect. Our Coredata manager is ready to handle the things. Okay. Let us see. Let me take the table view. Embedded navigation controller. Let me take a table we sell here. Let me take this is student cell. Let me make the cell type as subtitle. Table view. Take delegate and data source. Delegate and data source. Put one plus icon here. Adding student. Bar button item. This is bar button item. Make this as add image. Adding student. Okay, student contains 3 different fields. Anyways, EIV controller. Show detail. Where I can have 3 different fields. UI text field. Name is address. EI button. Save. Twenty pixels, maintain 20 pixel gap. Maintain the left and right, leading and trailing. Save button. 50 pixels away from the bottom to the text field, and make it always center. Horizontally center. Give the name is address. Perfect. Let me create a class for this. Add student view controller. Move to trash. Let me create a class for this not Swift class. Add student we controller. IB outlet. We where name text field. So name is text field. Address text field. Also, we have a button to save the information. That is IP accent func save. Yeah, that's it. Let's give the connections. What is this? Class name, change the class name. Add student to be controller. Go here. Address text field. Age text field. Name text field. Save. Yeah, this is ready. Now go here and create a student information like a student model. Let me take student model here. This is student model. Structure. Which is a structure and which contains name is a string, age is integer, address is string. Our student structure is ready. Now, what we can have here, implement the delegate and data source methods, extension, view controller, EA table we delegate, EA table we data source. Number of rows in section. I'll just have this here where like student equal to empty at present. Coredata return students.count. Cell for route in XPath. If let me take cell. Let cell equal to table view dot dq region cell with identifier student cell dot index path dot row. Cell dot let a student equal to students of index path dot row, taking object from the students array. Cell dot text label dot text equal to a student dot name. What is this? Student name is there, right? Cell equal to cell dot detail text label dot text equal to a student dot address. And just printing address. Check student. Maybe he's having name and address student. Perfect. Why is this error? Invalid redeclaration. Okay, perfect. Here, this is actually produces a class. Actually, this actually produces a class. I'm just changing this to Coredata student. Oh, the error is gone. Actually, we are getting one student class here, student structure. By default, even Coredata also produces one class with the same name student. So I just renamed it to the CD student. Now should be perfect. What is this? Table view dot dq region cell with identifier cell index path. And finally return it. Cell We are returning it. This is student cell. Yeah, student cell. Build it. Yeah, perfect. Here, we have CD student class. In view controller, we are having student class. Basically, database is one separate layer. To save the information on the database, there is a class called CD student. In view controller, we are using student. Basically, then we need some kind of conversion. We are not going to use the default Coredata objects in that is separate layer. We are not going to use the other layer objects in our application layer. User interface layer, we are not going to use them. So what we need, we have created our own structure for the student. Now, let me, if we need any kind of for this, what we need to do is here code definition, here make it manual none. Command B. Even the errors are gone. Let's see if it is really. Yeah. The building is succeeded. Build succeeded. Okay. Now CD student is a separate class which is given by the Coredata. Student is a class which we have used to represent the student information in view controllers. Let's see now what we need when user fetch. We need to fetch the information. Please rejoin. Okay, we see how exactly to create objects and save the information and fetching the information. We see.